He says, love you, Who Dat Nation. Let's give it another go. Basically saying, hey, I am no longer retiring. I am not retiring. Never, no longer. I'm not retiring. I'm coming back. He broke the news his way. He's back in the game. Now, Taysom Hill, who's a restricted free agent, will probably become the backup quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is now going to hit the market. Some people are saying there's 4 or 5 teams interested in him. There's probably 4 or 5 teams interested in every quarterback that's going to be on the market. Marquee names are now Phillip Rivers potentially going to be a free agent, potentially the Colts, everybody's saying, because Frank Reich and he have a great connection. Tom Brady could end up anywhere. The Raiders say they're ready to offer him $60 million. We don't even know if Mark Davis has $60 million to pay him, but that is where they're thinking he's going to go. The Chargers are obviously looking for a quarterback, or the Panthers going to be looking for the quarterback. The Bears could be potentially, there's a Cam Newton's potentially going to be on the market. There's a lot of moving pieces that just started, and Drew Brees was the first one. He announced it himself. I'm coming back. I'll be at the Saints. Now Teddy has a chance to go figure out where he wants to go. Can Teddy throw the deep ball well? That's the question you have to ask, whether you're going to figure out whether or not he's going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer or not. I think there's a chance he ends up with the Colts because of how good he had this last year. You got to remember, Teddy Bridgewater, undefeated quarterback last year in Drew Brees' offense in New Orleans Saints. Now, Latavius Murray had a lot of runs. But he still was a part of Michael Thomas's record-breaking season, right? Teddy Bridgewater started 5 games with 5-0. He has upped his stock more than probably anybody else this past season. But you got to remember, before he blew out his Achilles, I believe, or his knee, blew out his knee, he was in the MVP conversation. And just a couple years ago, he took $500,000 guaranteed from the Jets. Now, he's potentially going to get $25-30 million a year. I'm very happy for Teddy Bridgewater, but he's just one of the people on the market now. Taysom Hill is back as a backup quarterback, and I assume they're still going to use him as the offensive weapon that they are. But I'm happy for Drew Brees. I'm happy for the Saints, and I can't wait to see what friend of the show Drew Brees does this next year.
If a team takes a risk on Taysom Hill, say gives them $10 million a year, do you think the Saints are going to match that, or are they going to go?
$10 million, yes, they would absolutely match that. They'll match that for a wide receiver, special teamer, backup quarterback. I think they'll do that, right? Restricted free agent is somebody can offer, but they get first right to match. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now it's like, will somebody want to take a shot on Taysom Hill to be a starting quarterback strictly because Sean Payton last year said he's like Steve Young?
Say the Patriots. Say the Patriots need a quarterback, and Taysom Hill fits that system perfectly. Give him $15 million a year maybe.
$15 million a year, by the way, would be a gross under amount of cash to play quarterback for somebody. But Taysom Hill has alluded to the fact that he's excited to get back to the Saints. He says, at the end of the day, I look at Drew coming back, and maybe I'm not playing quarterback, which is ultimately where I want to have an opportunity to play in the NFL. So he left that carrot out there, by the way. He left that out there that, hey, just because Drew's coming back for a year or two or whatever, I still want to play quarterback. Then he says, there are still going to be opportunities for me to make plays. I can tell you a unique experience for me that most backup quarterbacks don't get is I'm in the huddle with Drew on game day. That, to me, is invaluable. So it sounds like Taysom Hill is like, I'll come back for another. We'll run it back if we need to. Let's do that. But if money's on the table to be a starting quarterback somewhere, that'll be very interesting to see what happens. But the Patriots are going to have an opportunity to get a lot of players. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be potentially moving pieces. What if Phillip Rivers ends up at the Patriots? Is there any talk of that happening? No. But could it happen? Maybe. Nobody has a clue what the hell is going to happen. And it all starts and it all ends. Now after Drew Brees made this decision, it all starts and ends with the guy who is handsome, the guy who has a social media team that's second to none, a guy that eats avocado ice cream, a man who is potentially going to get $60 million to play for the Las Vegas Raiders. It's all Tom Brady, whatever the hell Tom Brady wants to do.
Speaking of him, how much do you think Drew's decision had to do with he's number one in touchdowns all time, he's number one in yards all time, he's number one in completions all time, but right behind him in all of those is Tom Brady at number 2, and he's like, well, if Tom's going to play another year, and I still want to be the all-time leading in all these categories, I need to play another year.
Talking to Drew Brees on Super Bowl, it feels like those are the types of things he does think about.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I'll collect all the ammunition that you need to give me to get a chip on my shoulder. Whatever. Not on the NFL 100 team, sounds good to me. I can't do it anymore, sounds good to me. He's a guy that does that. Because you got to remember, at one point, he was undersized. And he was let go from the Chargers. He wasn't going to be a good quarterback. There was a conversation that Drew Brees wasn't going to be a good quarterback. He might be soiled milk or spoiled milk or whatever. Now he's gone on to be the best in potentially the history of the game with all his records. And I would assume that is something he's definitely thinking about.
I love that when Taysom didn't know what Drew was going to do, he was like, I'm not going to take a cut to be here. I want to go be a quarterback somewhere else, because he didn't want to be a backup behind Teddy Bridgewater. But now that he knows Drew's going to be there and knows how long is Drew going to be there, Taysom's like, I'll stay.
You know what was interesting? What was it? Beginning of the season, Sean Payton said, we view Taysom Hill as our Steve Young. And I think he was almost like, he's our franchise quarterback of the future. Then they had a chance for him to actually be a starting quarterback, and they didn't. They put Teddy Bridgewater, and he goes 5-0. And Sean Payton had to be sitting there like, okay, well, if that's our Steve Young, what the hell is the guy that just went undefeated for us whenever Drew was there?
Nick showed us Taysom Hill's career highlights this morning.
Those weren't career highlights. There's a video.
College highlights?
There's a video circulating of Taysom Hill's worst night as a quarterback ever, and he looked worse than Connor Campbell at quarterback. I mean, he did. He looked worse than you out there.
I'm pretty good at quarterback.
Yeah, you should be upset that Taysom Hill looked better than you at quarterback.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
You're the masshole's delusions are just next level.
I've been watching Brady for 24 years. I know I'm good at.
Yeah, he got Mike. Did he just get muted? I love that.
He cut himself out.
Yeah.
I think I cut myself. I was pretty tough with this button back here.
That's the first good idea you've had in 24 years.
Hello. Talk about you muting yourself.
Oh, whatever, Nick.
Maybe do it more often.